Oh, well. Now give me a minute. Yepes qualifies Olson's postmodern desire to turn time into space as emblematic of fascism in its reordering of history for self-serving and autocratic purposes. Such reordering is the meaning of Neo Memoria in Yepes' title. His title is El Imperio, the Imperium of the New Memory. In this reading, all of Maximus, you're going to love this. I'm only summarizing. In this reading, all of Maximus becomes kitsch and simulacrum, a manufactured reality that replaces the historical world with a spatial plane of fragments arranged in paratactic fusillades that are overwhelming in their onslaught, replacing lived experience with artificially constructed experience, turning night into day, as Olson did. Of course, this is my summary of the argument presented by Yepes and my rhetoric too. His rhetoric contains incomparable sustained flights, but he usually fails to ground his arguments. Many of his failures will be perceived by the responsible critic as flamboyant rhetorical gestures. So, summary of your response. It strikes me nonetheless that it's necessary to see ourselves from the point of view of the other, and I will accept the claim that Olson was unable to see himself in other than solipsistic terms. He famously expresses his admiration for how the Mayans carry themselves with no false modesty and a level of openness to contact with others, and yet he does not consider how others may see him or feel about his behavior or his claims. This blindness is Yepes' motivating force. He may, if you have patience with his exposition, offer a corrective to Olson's partial vision of Mexico. But this correction is also animated by Yepes' animosity for American imperialism, which many of us actually share. And it was perhaps only too convenient for him to fuse Olson's self-centeredness with the American monomania to consume and shape the newly emerging world of global capitalism, founded as it is on consumption, genocide of indigenous peoples and African peoples, and environmental degradation. This claim about the imperium, or the danger to the world, that North America represents is not new to you at Yepes. Jose Marti made it in 1891. So, I'm going to read two passages in my translation so you can think about Yepes for yourself. I mean, it is a rare event to have a whole book on Olson published in Mexico. I think it might be the rarest event in Olson criticism to have a 280-page book, a thesis, even though it's an attack, published about, the reception and the perception of this guy in a different language by a person deep in another culture. Although people like Pierre know Yepes and has published his poetry, so it's interesting. It's interesting. Here's a passage. Olson mixes himself with the other. This is Yepes. He bases his knowledge of the other in his own self-knowledge. From Dahlberg, Pound, and Cagley, he went on shortly after to Francis Baldereff and Robert Creeley. If the work of Olson refers centrally to expansion in the direction of the other, and that's actually what proprioception can be used as a metaphor for the inside coming out to the edge, and that edge growing into the polis. I mean, Yepes knows something about what he's saying. If the work of Olson refers centrally to expansion in the direction of the other, toward the fusion and appropriation of it, this incorporation also works at the limits of his own personal existence. Olson devours the other. He consumes it to support his own life, and at the same time, he is devoured by his catch, the whale who devours Job. Olson is fundamentally a cannibal, and he is also the cannibalized. Oh, that's brilliant. That is brilliant.
No, wait. Dan, the quotation that I had from my envelope, I think about this idea of the expansion towards the other.
Yeah.
He says the outside, where it all comes from.
It's inside. It's going.
Wait. There is this emphasis on the outside. That is that question of alterity. The figure of our Lord that was on the original.
But it's not devouring.
No, hold on. But to say that it's, I agree. But that the outside, where it all comes from.
Right.
The point isn't that it's expansion to the other.
But no. This is totally Olson's basic metaphor of the Möbius strip. Outside and inside are one.
That's different from expanding into
No, it says swallow if you don't like the word devour. He goes out as though he were taking it all in, and boom, he's consumed by everything.
No, he's learning
It's not
from
that
the
Olson's
outside.
poetics. That is Olson's poetics in summary.
Boo!
It's
In the next
anti-imperialism.
passage, I recite the theme of the Americanization of the world. Yepes responds to passages in Call Me Ishmael that read, "For the American has the Roman feeling about the world."
That doesn't mean he likes it
Yeah.
exactly. That's a description. This is tautology.
For the American has the Roman feeling about the world. It is his to dispose of. This is Olson saying he strides it with possession of it, his property. Has he not conquered it with his machines? He bends its resources to his will. This Pax of Legions, the Americanization of the world. Who else is Lord?
Okay.
This is Olson. This is not Yepes.
No, that's a description of the condition. You could easily pull anything through the whole history of his work that's an attack on that. So you've just got a tautology. Yes, American expansionist. Yes, Olson is American, and he describes it.
Olson, as this is Yepes now. And see, I'm trying to stay neutral. Olson, as can be seen, is no critic of this Americanization of the world. This is Yepes, a New Deal fanatic, Democratic Party braggart. Olson became a spokesperson for imperialism, often implicit, other times excessively open. At the same time, Olson is conscious that such sovereign arrogance as that of Ahab, that of America, led to shipwreck, as Olson also recognized, a collapse of a hero through solipsism which brings down the world. That's another quote from Call Me Ishmael. That is Olson's On the Wreck of the Pequod, a collapse of a hero on Ahab, a collapse of a hero through solipsism which brings down the world. Yepes continues. Solipsism, all solipsism is, this is a fantastic word, pantopiko, is that which brings down the world, the imperium, and at the same time, it is its prime mover. Olson, without doubt, is conquered by the beauty of solipsism. To him, its purpose is sublime. It is tragically beautiful to him, beautifully tragic. Death by hypertrophy, the surviving fragmentation, its remains on the bottom of the sea.